Welcome back to Paperback Ponderings, and today we have our quarterly release radar, seasonal release radar. We are talking about all the books that are coming out this spring 2026, all the major fantasy releases. We know this is not an exhaustive list, so this is just kind of the most hyped books that we are most excited for, that are most on our radar. So we are going to go through the list in order of release date and share a short little synopsis, what it's about, if it's a series that we are already started and invested in, if it's something that we're interested in reading, and we will see if you can add anything new to your TBR. So let's get rolling. Sarah's gonna kick it off with the first book.
I feel bad when we do these things because inevitably there will be additions to the TBR, and that is both a beautiful and terrible thing.
Yes, it can be painful.
TBRs. It can be so painful. And first off, like this list, the winter release radar, exciting. This one is like, holy shit, clear my schedule. Just desk flip everything that's on my TBR, or like desk wipe everything that's on my TBR, because this list is the list. I'm super stoked. First up, we have a banger coming out on April 7th. It is the third and final book of the Drowned Gods trilogy. It is called Infinite Shores, and it is by Pascal Lassalle. If you've been around for some time, we have talked about Pascal Lassalle's work quite a bit. We really loved the first one. Kyla really liked the second one. I never read it, but that's okay. And we're super excited to see the end of it. So for anyone who hasn't heard about this series, it is essentially a series that follows a teen mage named Emery, who survives a mysterious cave incident during her first year at her college that kills her classmates who were in the cave with her. And she comes out of this traumatic incident with a lot of like really alarming powers that nobody else has. And to control them and figure out what the hell happened in this cave incident, Emery teams up with the class recluse and reject Baz, whose sister was also among the victims in the cave incident. So as they get together and start to investigate the happenings of what went wrong that fateful night, they uncover a secret society that is tied to the deaths of the people that they love. And therefore, they need to figure out what the heck's going on with this secret society. So they start to investigate, and then the weirdest thing happens. The supposedly dead students start to wash up on the shores near the school, only to die again, a really traumatic death by magic. And Emery realizes that there's something much, much more sinister at play than what they have seen yet. So there's a lot of mystery in this first book, and you kind of start to unravel it and expand as the books go on. Infinite Shores is the third and final book of this series, I believe. It's just supposed to be a trilogy.
Yeah.
The cool thing about this series is the magic system. Kyla and I go on, and when it was when Curious Tides was first introduced, we were very intrigued by it. I can't actually remember the specifics of it, but it's all lunar based, right?
Yeah, so it's a whole college for lunar magic, and people are in houses of like the excuse my lack of knowledge about moon cycles, but like the waxing moon and the waning moon and the full moon and the whatever the other one is. Like, so you are divided into a house, and your power that you have is associated with this. So like the moon that's getting bigger, whichever one that is, the waxing moon, that one you might have a power that's like you can cause plants to grow kind of thing, because it's all about growth and whatever in that time of the moon cycle. So it's a really cool magic system that is very intricately designed with lots of cool powers.
Lots of really cool powers. And it's all kind of predetermined by your birth chart in the lunar cycle.
Yeah.
Your powers are kind of determined by that, which I thought was cool.
Very cool.
But then, of course, you also have just like this overarching mystery that's going on. And you've got Baz, who's a very intriguing character. I thought he was more interesting probably than Emery, personally.
Yes, I did love Baz.
By Baz.
Yeah.
Really liked Baz. And I found that like the ambiguity of the relationships in this story were really interesting. So it'll be very fascinating to see the conclusion of this story and how those relationships play out, because it's not really clear. There's a lot of, at least the part that I got to in this series, there's a lot still to uncover. I know I'm only one book in, but it's worth mentioning that like it's part of the intrigue and the allure of this series is that it's not a clear-cut relationship arc, if you will.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of shifting alliances, I guess, and different morals and different goals of people. So yeah, it's a fun story. I do think I'm going to do a little audiobook reread of the first two, because it's been a couple years now, and book two, there's a lot of stuff that goes down in book two. So I think I need a refresher, but I'm very excited to get back in this world.
Yeah, absolutely. What is next for us in our spring release radar here?
So next up, on the same day, April 7th, we have Rites of the Starling by Devney Perry. So this one is
I'm so excited for this one.
Oh yeah, this is a very hyped one. If you were around last year, not just on the podcast, but in the bookish space at all, you probably were witness to the Shield of Sparrows hype that came out of nowhere. Like, we were not aware of Shield of Sparrows before it published at all, and then all of a sudden it was everywhere. So Rites of the Starling is the sequel to Shield of Sparrows, which currently has a 4.38 out of almost 300,000 ratings on Goodreads, and it was also a nominee for Reader's Favorite Romantasy last year on the Goodreads Choice Awards. And Shield of Sparrows follows Odessa Cross, the second-born princess to a kingdom, who was not supposed to be the important princess. That was supposed to be her sister May. And May has been raised her whole life knowing that her destiny was to be given to the prince of another kingdom in marriage as part of a peacekeeping treaty between all of the kingdoms. However, when the prince arrives, he takes one look at Odessa and decides that he wants her instead, which causes an uproar, but the prince will not be budged, so Odessa's life is uprooted and she is sent to the northern rugged kingdom of Tura. However, before she leaves, her father corners her, telling her that May has been trained her whole life to be a spy and to discover the location of the secret capital city in the kingdom of Tura, and now Odessa has to take up this task in her stead, despite having no training in being a spy. So not only that, but this world that they live in is one that's overrun with monsters that are kind of like mutations of animals that we are familiar with, that just make them more beastie and scary. And so the kingdoms in this world are always defending against attacks from these monsters. And the worst one of all is the Crux, which are these giant deadly birds that sweep across the land every so often in what's known as a Crux season or a Crux migration. And they destroy everything in their path, like just totally rip the world to shreds kind of thing. So this year, of course, happens to be a Crux migration season. So as Odessa tries to infiltrate this new kingdom and learn to defend herself, she's also having to defend against her environment and figure out what's going to happen when the deadly Crux come.
I'm super stoked for this one. We actually have like a pretty in-depth kind of like reactions video to this one, and I feel like I'll probably not reread the book, but I'll definitely go re-listen to that episode to remind me of all my theories and everything that we had discussed in the wake of Shield of Sparrows, because I think there's a lot going on. And there were some pretty like epic reveals at the end of Shield of Sparrows. So I'm very excited for Rites of the Starling.
Yeah, anybody who has read Sarah J. Maas, we can confidently tell you this is a Sarah J. Maas style of ending. There's a lot going on, a lot of chaos, a lot of reveals. So it's very exciting. And yeah, I plan to do the same thing, to listen to our episode from last summer just to refresh the details and the theories.
Yeah, super helpful, I think it will be.
Oh, yes, definitely. So that was Rites of the Starling coming out on April 7th.
Okay, so we have one more book coming up on April 7th. So sorry to the people who had plans for April, but
not anymore.
We're reading books now. The next book coming out on the 7th of April is Bloodsinger by Juliet Cross. This is the second book in the Fire That Binds trilogy, so there is expecting to be 3 books in this series. The first book, Firebird, is currently sitting at a 3.69 stars out of 15,000 ratings, so not bad at all. For anyone who hasn't heard of Firebird, this is a fantasy book series set in a world inspired by ancient Rome. However, there's a little twist. It is if all the noble-blooded Romans were dragon shifters. So it keeps things a little extra spicy.
Oh, yeah.
The first story follows Julian, who is a general in the Roman army and known as the cold-hearted conqueror and nephew to the emperor. The events in the first book kind of trigger the events in the second book. However, the main characters in Bloodsinger are different. They are not our main characters from Firebird. I'm not going to tell you who they are because I don't want to ruin anything, although you could probably ruin it if you went and looked at the synopsis, but we'll keep it.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't do that at all. If you have not read Firebird, read that first because I think you'll ruin some things for yourself. Don't do what Sarah does. Be better. But in Firebird, Julian is out doing his cold-hearted conqueror things, and he comes across a Dacian woman from the defeated enemy's side who is being harassed by some of the men in his army. And he actually recognizes her from a couple years prior when he had gone to a circus show, I don't know, an entertainment night run by the Dacian tribe, and he had become enamored and obsessed by this woman, and he gets to run into her a couple years later and become her knight in shining armor, although the only way he can really keep her safe is by taking her into his household and employing her, not really, in the form of slavery. So he takes her as his slave to keep her safe. And then, of course, there's plenty of political happenings, kind of machinations going on in the background, but we get to follow our female main character, whose name is Melina, as she navigates this new world of being a Roman slave in the household of the man who had also caught her eye a few years prior. So a very fascinating premise, but also a really fun story. Like, love dragon shifters, love ancient Rome, love captivity, forced proximity.
Yep.
We're here for it.
We're checking all the boxes.
And if you read that or read that, the next one is coming out also April 7th. That is Bloodsinger by Juliet Cross.
Next up, on April 14th, we have one that I am personally super excited about. This is The Tempest Blade by Danielle L. Jensen. This is the 6th and final book in the Bridge Kingdom series, which, if you're not familiar with the series, it's divided into 3 different duologies. So this one is the second book in Anna and James's story, which began in The Twisted Throne. So The Twisted Throne, which is book 5 in the overall series, but it has its own new story, has a 4.26 out of 20,000 ratings. And it follows Anna, who is the sister to King Aaron, the leading man from the first 2 books, as she is given as a bride to the neighboring kingdom of Harendel as part of a treaty that was signed by her parents when she was a child. However, after the events of the previous books in the series, her home kingdom of Ithacana is seriously in need of aid. And so Anna is determined to use her new position as the future queen to gain influence in Harendel and hopefully control the gold that comes with the throne so that she can help Ithacana however possible. But when she gets to Harendel, she finds that beneath the surface of their beautiful court is a dark underbelly built on schemes and duplicity, And the only person who holds himself above the politics is not her future husband, but his infuriating half-brother, James, who she finds herself more and more attracted to.
We love a falls in love with your forced husband's brother moment.
We do, yes.
At least I do.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, because it's a forbidden love, which is always fun. And this world, this series, if you've been listening to the podcast, you know that this series was my favorite series of 2025. And Danielle L. Jensen just writes politics so well. She writes characters and romance so well. So yeah, this is one of my top most anticipated books of the year. I have been saving book 5 in the series to read it directly before book 6 comes out so that I don't have to wait, because Danielle L. Jensen is also known for her cliffhanger endings. So she won't be doing that to me. I've waited and I'll be reading them back to back.
Kyla's not falling for the trap this time. She's going to be reading them back to back. Yes. Nobody's going to get one over on Kyla.
So yeah, very excited for that. And if you haven't picked up the series, do it.
Great series. You haven't read the 5th book. What is the 5th book called?
The Twisted Throne.
Twisted Throne, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this one is the Tempest Blade.
Yes. We love this world. It's such a unique, amazing world. Very lucky that we get to go back to it one last time.
Oh yeah. Also, book 6 has POVs from all 6 of the main characters across all the books, which is really fun. Yeah,
that's pretty dope.
But yeah, so that is April 14th, The Tempest Blade by Danielle L. Jensen. Next up, we have Bloodbound by Ellis Hunter, coming out on April 28th. This one is a debut romantasy, and it is the first in a new trilogy called the Cursed Covenant trilogy, which features a once-in-a-generation duel to the death between rival witches and dragon riders, which immediately sounds fun. So Astrid is the last Notchstern witch and the heir to her queendom, and she has always known that she is destined to die. She is cursed by a centuries-old covenant to duel the heir to the kingdom of Vatra for the source of all magic, which is known as the Heart. So now she is heading into enemy territory to face Prince Zryan, who is the most powerful dragon rider in eons, and she only has her familiar, her potions, and her wits to aid her. She believes that she's going to die, leaving her queendom with no chance of curing the blight that's been ravaging the lands and killing her people. Meanwhile, deep in Dragon Country, we have Skylar, and Skylar and her traveling troupe arrive in the capital city, ready to profit off the spectators who are swarming to the city for the duel. She despises the royals and all they stand for, especially because the King's Guard murdered her mother. But when her best friend disappears, her search takes her closer to the royals than she ever could have imagined, and as the duel looms over the kingdom, Skylar and Astrid's fates intertwine, and they must battle a growing rebellion, their inner demons, and ultimately those they love most, to determine if they can save the world together. So this one really intrigues me. Also, I love the cover and the sprayed edges. Like, it's a very beautiful book. So I am quite excited about this one.
They always get you with the sprayed edges, don't they? It's just
they really do. Yes, it is a pain sometimes. But yeah, this one is pretty, but I also do like the concept of the witches versus dragon riders type society. And I like that we follow 2 female main characters. I don't believe that this is supposed to be sapphic, but it is possible. But I also just love the idea of a story about 2 friends or 2 people who become friends, and that the romance is kind of maybe on the side. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I am intrigued by this. I've never also read anything by Ellis Hunter, so it would be an intriguing opportunity to discover a new author.
Yeah, so this is a debut author, and it's actually 2 people it was 2 friends who wanted to write a story, and they came together. Tricky. I think one of them, their last names are Ellis and Hunter, I believe.
Interesting.
But it sounds good.
Hunter Ellis would have been a better.
Hunter Ellis. Yeah, I think both definitely work. Hunter Ellis. Ellis is kind of a cool first name too.
I just think of Meredith Grey's mom.
Is that what her name was? Ellis?
Alice Gray, yeah.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Minor segue.
So yes, that was Bloodbound, coming out on April 28th.
Beautimus. We also have a double hitter on the 28th of April. Another very exciting day. You may recognize the author of this one. Coming out April 28th, we have an Arcane Study of Stars by Sydney J. Shields. Sydney J. Shields was a debut author last year with her hit novel The Honey Witch, which came out in 2024, actually, not last year. It was nominated for Reader's Favorite Romantasy, which is very exciting. Currently sitting at that book, her debut novel, is sitting at a 3.54 out of 27,000 ratings. This story, An Arcane Study of Stars, follows our female main character, Claudia, who, after being rejected from the infamous Cygnus University, is visited in her dreams by a dangerous stranger. Dorian, a bargainer, offers her a deal. He'll get her into the prestigious school if she helps free him from a prison hidden among the stars. She agrees, sealing the deal with a piece of her soul, only to wake up the next morning to an acceptance letter tied to the recent death of another student.
Ooh.
Opa. Yikes. Is that manslaughter? I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, at Cygnus, suspicion follows her. Rumors tend to spread about our young Claudia that she had some sort of hand in the girl's death. And our male character, Cassius MacLeod, the High Sage's apprentice, is determined to tear her apart. Now, as Claudia searches for proof of her innocence, because of course we need to prove that we were not implicated in the murder of the girl who died to get us into Cygnus, she also has to figure out a way to free Dorian from his prison.
Right.
So while she's trying to figure out how to help Dorian, we also have the mysterious surfacing of the dead student's diary. And those pieces of the diary begin to appear as the story unravels, revealing a super chilling truth. That, for the last century, celestial witches at Cygnus have been murdered, and Claudia may be next.
Oh. Dang.
So she's just getting it from all angles, unfortunately,
for
girl. Claudia.
I think this one sounds fun.
It does sound fun. I do feel like dark academia x fantasy is like making a bit of a rise, and I'm curious if this is actually a good story or if it's like writing to market a little bit.
Yeah. It's kind of reminding me of Curious Tides a little bit, with the kind of mystical school and the murders. I've seen the author post online. She made a video that was like, when the main character starts losing her mind and the pages start to look like this. And if you look at the pages in the book, they've done cool stuff with the typeface. So you have like chunks of text in different places in parts of the book that just show kind of a disconnect in the reality or whatever. I'm not sure yet, but it seems like it could be a cool concept.
I think so, yeah. There's the rivalry. There's the like question mark of Dorian. We also have the secret society and the witches. So there are definitely some parallels. This book is dubbed as perfect for fans of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue and the Atlas Six. Makes me question whether Claudia is maybe like reincarnated and she doesn't know it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how Addie LaRue fits in.
Oh, the deal with the devil aspect.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, either way, an interesting story. Very intrigued by historical dark academia in general. And for those interested, that was An Arcane Study of Stars. An Arcane Study of Stars by Sydney J. Shields.
Beauty. After that, we have Furybound by Sable Sorensen coming out May 5th.
I'm so stoked for this. This is the best birthday present I ever could have received.
Yeah, actually, that's perfect timing for you. Yeah, this is super exciting. This is one of both of our most anticipated releases of the year. This one is the sequel to Direbound, which came out last year, and it has a 4.33 out of 141,000 ratings on Goodreads. It was also a nominee for Reader's Favorite Romantasy last year, and it was picked up from indie to trad. It's just kind of killing it out there, so we love to see that. But this one is set in a world where Marin's kingdom has been at war with the immortal vampire monsters across the border for centuries now. And the king has this force of elite warriors who are bonded to these huge, vicious direwolves. And Marin has never dreamed of being one of these warriors. She is living in the slums, just doing her best to help her family get by. She's working in the laundry. She's fighting in some fighting rings on the side. But all of that goes to crap when her little sister is kidnapped and taken across the border as only the latest in a string of child kidnappings in the slums. So Marin enlists in the army to be taken to the front lines where she plans to go off in search of her sister. But when she enlists, she finds out that the bonding trials are being held this year. And these are the trials that determine the next round of these elite warriors who get to bond with wolves. And as a newly enlisted member in the army, she has no choice but to participate in them. She is forced to. But the trials are super deadly, and even once bonded, she will still need to survive the next 4 months of training at the castle if she wants a chance at finding her sister. And to make things even worse, she is bound to a feral direwolf who refuses to communicate with her, and the other trainees would all love to spill her blood because she's a commoner, and they are not. And her gorgeous instructor, Stark Therian, is as malicious as the wolves himself.
I am so stoked for this. I think there's probably not another book that I'm more excited about. You got an arc of this, right?
Yeah, I haven't received it yet. They're delivering them mid-April to our inboxes.
So it's an e-arc?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so super excited for this one. Direbound was really fun. If you haven't read it or haven't heard of it, I always pitch it as Fourth Wing, but with direwolves instead of dragons, because you have that element of the kind of ruthless academy where you're bonding with this fierce and ancient type animal that you have a mental bond with. It is kind of deadly. Students are dying. It's not quite as deadly as Fourth Wing, but it is definitely deadly in its own right. It's a very fun story. It's got some even Quicksilver vibes too from the vampire enemy kingdom next door. So if you liked both of those books, you're pretty much guaranteed to like this one as well.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 would recommend.
So that is Furybound, coming out May 5th.
Okay. Also on May 5th, we have Verity Guild by Mai Corland coming out, if that sounds familiar, if the author sounds familiar. She is the author of the Broken Blades trilogy, and this is a new series from Mai, so totally unrelated. Verity Guild follows High Priestess Caressia Vestal, who has spent her life concealing a very deadly secret. The fact that she is the last surviving heir of a magical bloodline the Republic had tried to erase or eradicate. Now, one day, a senator is murdered, and all the evidence points to her, and she becomes the prime suspect, and ultimately one misstep away from execution. She's on the chopping block, and she probably doesn't want to die, A, for selfish reasons, like nobody wants to die, but also she's the last of her bloodline. Like, she needs to protect her bloodline at all costs. Mm-hmm. Now, enter our male main character, Praetorian Torin Morvain.
There's another name for you.
Oh boy. Who is a relentless investigator known for exposing lies, who has long targeted Caressia and is determined to bring her down. There's some feud there. Now, one day they are trapped together on a mountain alongside a potential killer, and all the political schemers and looming prophecies start to come to the surface as he is forced to work with the very woman that he distrusts the most. So they are forced to team up for some reason. Now, as they race to uncover the true murder, I mean, like, yeah, it makes sense that they're forced to team up because he's trying to uncover the murderer and she's trying to also help him uncover the murderer because she knows she's not the murderer.
Yeah, she's trying to clear her name.
Yeah. All of Caricia's secrets start to bubble to the surface and her life becomes incredibly unstable in the republic that she is just trying to scrape by under the water in. This one feels very This Monster of Mine coded.
I was thinking that too. Yeah, it's giving that vibe for sure. And I'm curious about whether you are going to read it because I know you really loved the other series by this author. So is it kind of an auto buy because of that?
Yeah, I do love her writing. I'm a really big fan of her writing and the story that she wove with the Broken Blades trilogy. So I am intrigued.
Okay.
I do think ancient Rome is like making a rise or something.
It does seem like it.
I know that it's always been a thing and there's books aplenty that are written on the basis of either key historical events from ancient Roman times or characters from ancient Roman times or just like the lifestyle of ancient Roman society.
Yeah.
But it does feel like it's like a lot. Like there's a lot out there.
Yeah.
A lot recent that's out there as well.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So I'm intrigued by this. I'd have to see how big the book is. I'd have to see like what sort of commitment we're putting ourselves or getting ourselves into by reading this book. But I am intrigued by it, and I did really enjoy her writing in the Broken Blades trilogy. So
okay, so definitely on the watch radar, but maybe not top of the list yet.
Yeah, I feel like this is one where I would want to start to see some like traction online or maybe just like some reviews, read through some reviews a little bit before I fully pulled the trigger on this.
Yeah. Because
it's the start of a new series. It's just coming out, which means the next one isn't going to be for a while. I don't know.
So yeah, you could wait, see kind of how it's received, and then you'll be closer to the second book's release anyways.
Exactly. And nothing against her writing. I really, really, like I said, enjoyed her writing. But I feel like I'm reading a lot of ancient Rome-inspired stuff, and I don't know. I think I'd prefer to read like the next book in the Monster of Mine duology.
Which we will talk about very
shortly.
I
was like, how do I say it without saying it? But there's another one coming out that sounds very similar. So, and I'm already committed to that world. But again, that is Verity Guild. It's coming out May 5th for those interested.
After that, we have The Tapestry of Fate by Shannon Chakraborty coming out on May 12th. And this one is the kind of long-awaited sequel to The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi, which has a 4.24 out of 81,000 ratings on Goodreads and was a nominee for the Reader's Favorite Fantasy in 2023. And this one is a tale of pirates and sorcerers on the high seas. We've got forbidden artifacts and ancient mysteries mixed in, which is really fun. So the story follows Amina al-Sarafi, who should be content after a storied and scandalous career as one of the Indian Ocean's most notorious pirates, where she survived backstabbing rogues and vengeful merchant princes and several husbands and one actual demon, now to retire peacefully with her family. But when she's tracked down by the obscenely wealthy mother of a former crewman, she's offered a job that no bandit could refuse: to retrieve her comrade's kidnapped daughter for a kingly sum. So the chance to have one last adventure with her crew, do right by an old friend, and win a fortune that will secure her family's future forever seems like an obvious choice. But the deeper that she dives, the more it becomes alarmingly clear that there's more to this job and to the girl's disappearance than she was led to believe.
I'm intrigued by this. I'm not gonna lie.
This one seems to be a pretty popular book, the first one. People who read it seem to love it. It sounds fun. Just a swashbuckling.
I thought you read this book.
No, I haven't yet.
Were you going to read this book? Did you get it at the library? Why is this ringing bells?
I didn't. No, it's been on my radar for a couple of years now, but I have never gotten around to it. So, see, this is the thing. It's like one of those stories that sounds like a fun time, but it's never been at the top of my TBR, so it keeps just kind of sliding. But maybe we'll see. Maybe with the release of book 2.
Yeah. Well, especially because like there's always so many books to read.
Yeah, it is hard.
Gosh,
but we do love a pirate story and a high seas adventure tale. So
yes, that's the part that's intriguing for me, I must say.
Yeah. So that was the Tapestry of Fate, coming out May 12th.
Okay. Also a double hitter on May 12th. I'm just going to keep saying it. There's too many good books coming out. But also coming out on May 12th is Broken Dove by Danny Francis. So this is the second book in the Silver Elite series. It is currently sitting at a 4.10 out of 141,000 ratings. And it was nominated for Reader's Favorite Romantasy in 2025. Kyla and I both read this. It was really freaking fun. Super fun book. Silver Elite, for anyone who hasn't heard, centers around 20-year-old Ren Darlington, who has spent her entire life hiding her extremely powerful psychic abilities, which were gifts earned from a deadly biotoxin that essentially leaked into the population and created a new breed of humans called the Modified after a war from like way back. Now, in this world, mods are hunted, persecuted, and snuffed out. Kind of like the reverse of Powerless, honestly, where we want to try and eradicate the modified population out of fear because these people are powerful and scary. Now, typically, the biggest red flag to point to whether someone is modified or not is that when they use their psychic abilities, their veins turn silver.
Right.
And that is like the flashing light, like, oh my goodness, this person is modified, you know? However, Ren is extra special, and she's an anomaly, even of the modified, and her veins do not change color when she uses her psychic abilities. So she's been really good at staying under the radar and avoiding the attentions of the powers that be in this dystopian kind of society. Now, one day, Ren unfortunately slips up, and in the aftermath of this slip up, she's actually thrust directly into the center of the enemy's territory. She is forced to enroll in the training camp for the elite military segment or task force called Silver Block as a consequence of this slip up. They don't know that she's modified, but they do know that she had potential ties to the rebellion of mods. So they want to keep her close. They want to keep their eye on her. And in doing so, they're forcibly enlisting her into the military. Now while she is trying to navigate this new world, she is placed under the watchful eye of Captain Cross Redden, who is actually the son of the dictator's regime and the commanding general of Silver Block. Now, not only must she fight to conceal her identity as a modified individual, but she also has to survive training, avoid the hot Captain Cross Redden, and potentially use her skills to become an undercover agent for the rebel uprising that they were so worried that she was part of. So, a super exciting book. Kyla and I both ate this shit up. Super excited for the second book to come out on May 12th. Who knows where this world is going? I know there was a lot of flack online about Silver Elite, namely that it was very cookie cutter, AI generated, simple, mass produced dystopian. I don't know about that. It's not the most revolutionary story, but it's still a really good one.
Yeah, it's a fun time. I actually forgot so much stuff, and that description reminded me of everything. My brain just remembered the dystopian Silverblock training vibes, but I forgot about the whole modified element to the story. So I was like, oh my gosh, right. That was actually really important.
Yeah, like the main thing.
Yeah, so I'm like, maybe I need a reread before Broken Dove, but yeah, I'm very excited for this one.
Me too. I do think for this one as well, we do have a reactions video. So if you wanted to go back and watch that, it would be a good idea if you didn't want to do a full reread.
I might do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might do that too, because despite that description being relatively good in the sense that it like told me everything I needed to know, I think there are some reveals at the end of Silver Elite that I'll want kind of fresh in the brain as we move into Broken Dove.
Yeah, there were definitely some reveals we want to remember.
Yeah.
Next up, we have The Ballad of Falling Dragons by Sarah A. Parker, coming out on May 19th. So this is the sequel to When the Moon Hatched, which has a 3.99 out of 306,000 ratings on Goodreads right now. And When the Moon Hatched follows Rave, a valued Elding Blade of a rebellion group whose job is to kill, to complete orders and never get caught. But when a renowned bounty hunter is employed by the Crown to capture a member of her rebellion group, Rave's world is turned upside down. She finds herself at the mercy of the Guild of Nobles, a group of elementals who intend to turn her into a political statement, and only death will set her free. In another area, crushed beneath a morning weight, Con Vagor took the head of a king and donned his melted crown. Now he's on a tireless quest to assuage the ache in his chest, and his hunt for a moon shard lures him into the belly of a notorious prison where he stumbles upon something that rips apart his perception of reality. A shackled miracle with eyes full of rage and blood on her hands.
Woohoo!
So this one, it also has dragons. I don't know how they fit in, but
somehow there's dragons.
There's dragons. It's part of the lore. Haven't read this one yet. I've heard that it's very heavy with information. There's a lot of world building. There's a really large glossary at the front of the book that is meant to help you, but also might overwhelm you. So honestly, I haven't even paid very much attention to what the plot of this book is. I just know that it's very popular. And I want to read it. So, so yeah.
Intrigued. Maybe I'll finally read When the Moon Hatched before this one comes out.
Yeah. Maybe this will be the catalyst. I probably not because it's coming up pretty quickly, but this year will be the year of When the Moon Hatched for me.
This year we'll get around to reading Sarah A. Parker's stuff.
Yeah.
Next up on the list, we are breaking into June now. We have Light Wielder coming on June 9th. It is written by Rachel Schneider, and it is the second book in the Fire and Metal series, the first one being Metal Slinger. You probably have heard of this one, or at least seen the cover. I feel like it kind of had its moment of success there for a bit. For anyone who hasn't heard of Metal Slinger, it is currently sitting at a 4.22 stars out of 131,000 ratings. In Metal Slinger, we meet our female main character called Bryn, who has spent her life fighting to belong among the Alaha, who are a seafaring people who took her in but never really claimed her as their own. So there's some like questionable origin of Bryn. Now, as a trained guard, one day she sees the annual market with the Kenta, who are her people's long-standing enemies, as a chance to finally prove herself, not only to her enemies, but also the Alaha. Now, instead of doing so, she actually makes a really reckless mistake that actually ends up shattering a centuries-old peace treaty.
Ooh.
Oopsie daisies. Yes. Now, after this mistake, everything unravels with a charged encounter with a Kenta soldier who happens to recognize that the truth that Bryn has never known, that she's not actually Alaha. Now, bound by duty, he vows to return her to the life she was taken from, whether she wants to go or not. Okay. And they are forced into a dangerous journey across the open waters, which pulls her further from the only home she's ever really known and closer to a world of magic that was deliberately kept from her. So, for whatever reason, she's not supposed to be where she's about to go. Now we get secrets from her past. Of course, it wouldn't be an epic fantasy without a questionable lineage of the female main character. But as we get to uncover secrets from her past and the cracks in her loyalty and her identity, and ultimately a little bit more about this forced captivity relationship that might be happening with the Kenta soldier.
Right.
So there's a lot going on. I love the idea of a sea journey, a forced sea journey as well.
That's kind of what drew me in to when I saw some fan art that was at sea, and I was like, oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of sea-oriented settings in these books, and I'm totally here for it. Like, definitely want to read this one. I actually bought it. I have it behind me.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere. But again, that is Light Wielder, the second book in the Fire and Metal series, which is coming out June 9th.
After that, we have The Raven at the Ash Door by K.A. Lind, coming out June 16th. This one is book 3 in the Oak and Holly cycle, which starts out with the Wren in the Holly Library, which we have talked about a few times on the podcast, I think in these radars. And that one, the first book in the series, has a 3.77 out of 37,000 ratings so far. And in this world, 13 years ago, creatures emerged from the shadows, bringing destruction that left New York City in ruins. So this war ended with the Monster Treaty, which is a fragile truce between humans and the beings that nearly destroyed them. And the story follows Kirsa, who is a skilled thief, and tonight she plans to break that treaty by sneaking into the Holly Library. But what she doesn't know is that she's stepping into the domain of a monster. He is dangerous and intelligent and oddly compelling, but he knows talent when he sees it, and it's just a matter of finding her price. So she finds herself caught up in a risky bargain with this creature who has been playing a long game, one that she may not be ready for, and she has to try and figure out if she can outmaneuver somebody who's had centuries to perfect the art of persuasion. So I was kind of informed by somebody who wrote a review that this one is a heist story.
Oh.
Which is kind of fun, and it's not super obvious from the description. But that one, when I heard that, it intrigued me more. And I do like the idea of kind of monsters and a library with secrets. This is another one of those ones that's just kind of slipped down the TBR. But I've always been intrigued by the idea of it.
Yeah, it's giving me flashbacks to that YA one that I didn't like.
I know, Sorcery of Thorns.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are elements that seem similar. I kind of want to read it to separate it in my mind, because not that I didn't dislike Sorcery of Thorns, but yes, I totally see what you mean, and like I know what it's like when you have that association between books and it discourages you from reading the new book because you just think of the old one.
100%. Yeah. I don't like to do that. I don't want to do that, but sometimes it just happens.
It just happens. Yeah.
Okay, next on our list, coming out on June 23rd, we have no double hitters in June. What do you know? Coming out on June 23rd is The Night Witch by Jamin Eve. It is the sequel to Spellcaster, which has a 3.82 out of 14,000 ratings on Goodreads. So pretty good. For anyone who doesn't know, Spellcaster follows Paisley, who is who at 21 has just been accepted into Weatherstone College, which is the world's most prestigious witch college. And this kind of confuses her because she feels a little bit like a late bloomer with her magic. She doesn't necessarily have very competent magic skills. So she's like, what the heck? My magic is super unpredictable and definitely not something to be excited about. But Weatherstone is a part of her family's legacy and she's determined to live up to it. So she accepts the invitation and the offer to attend Weatherstone College. Now, on her first day there, she comes face to face with Logan Kingston, who is the son of her father's enemy. She's been warned to avoid the powerful spellcaster at all costs, but apparently Logan did not receive the same instruction. And the more time she spends around him, the more she craves his unsettling attention and is left wondering if there's another side to the decades-old feud between their fathers. Love this. Big fan of this. On top of that, Weatherstone is not what she expected. She can feel a very dark and sinister energy stalking her footsteps as she attends. So, when a monster attacks her, she has no choice but to turn to the strongest warlock in the school, which just so happens to be our boy Logan.
Of course.
Of course. That element right there is giving Rose in Chains.
Okay.
Like centuries old conflict between two rival magical ideologies and kingdoms, and then the powerful kind of like gifted, I don't want to say like that doesn't necessarily apply to Night Witch, but like the gifted legacies on either side of the feud have this like undeniable interest in each other.
Yeah.
Very, very Tobin and Brini, actually.
Okay, well, good to know. Maybe this one will be just as good.
Hopefully. I really enjoyed that one. So when I originally was not necessarily interested in Spellcaster, but I am kind of intrigued now.
Okay, it's awakened something within you.
It has awakened something. And I do love a story where like people are so ingrained in their perspective, and then we kind of realize through the storytelling that like the world isn't as it seems, and there's something else at play. Like I love that like awakening moment of like, oh, I've been fed lies my whole life.
It makes for a very interesting plot and character growth moment too. I am intrigued about this one. It might be a fall book for me though.
Yeah, I see that. Knowing you. Knowing you, I totally see that. But I am intrigued now in my post Rose in Chains obsession.
Well, I look forward to your review.
Yeah. Again, that is Spellcaster by Jamin Eve, coming out June 23rd.
The last one we have on our list for the spring releases is This Blade of Ours by Shalini Abeysakara, coming out on June 30th. So this is the sequel we were talking about earlier to This Monster of Mine. And This Monster of Mine has a 4.09 out of 5,000 ratings on Goodreads. And the story follows Sarai, who barely survived when someone tried to murder her 4 years ago by pushing her out of a tower. And she doesn't know who tried to kill her or why. But what she does know is that her case was closed without justice. So, hellbent on revenge, she returns to the scene of the crime as a petitor, which is a prosecutor that can magically detect lies. She is assigned to work under Tetrarch Kadra, who is the most vicious of the 4 judges who rule the land that she lives in. And he is also the prime suspect in a string of deaths that look identical to her attempted murder. So she is certain of his guilt, and she begins this double life where she is solving cases with Kadra by day and plotting his ruin by night. But he is charming, and there is something alluring about the way he works against the city's corruption in his position as a judge. So she has these growing feelings for him, but she kind of has to hold herself back from those because she remembers his voice. His voice happens to be a match for the only memory that she has of the person who tried to kill her. That's all she can remember from that night is this voice. So pretty sus, and things are tense. But this one was a fun book. We read it last year, and we also got the opportunity to interview the author. So if you have read it or if you're curious, go and look for that interview in our episodes because we had a great time chatting with her. And yeah, I think we will both be reading the sequel this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were very excited to learn in that interview that This Monster of Mine was not, in fact, a standalone.
Yeah, it ended in a way that it could have been a standalone, but it had some threads like that were left open for, where could this go? But it wasn't left at a cliffhanger or anything. So yeah, it was a pleasant surprise to find out.
A very
that
pleasant
more.
surprise. Yeah, to get back into that world as well, because I think we're not done yet.
Yes.
There's still a lot to do in this world. This is another one that's it feels very like Roman inspired, simply from like a rule of law standpoint and the terminology used to describe the way that the political system and legal system is set up. Mm-hmm. So very kind of similar in that regard, or in that vein. It does kind of do a really good job at like being independent but still adhering to or holding on to the Roman justice system.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, it is unique in how it focuses on the justice system, but very exciting release. That one is This Blade of Ours, coming out June 30th. And that's all the books we have.
Obviously not exhaustive. There's many a book we know that are coming out that are not in the fantasy space. However, we would be here for hours, absolute hours, if we covered everything. These are just the books that we're kind of interested in or have our eyes on over the next couple months as we move through spring. Spring has sprung.
Spring is on the horizon.
Spring is on the horizon, and so are some really amazing books. If you have any questions, if you want to chat about any of these releases, or if you read them and hate us because you added to your TBR after this episode, we want to talk books. We always want to talk books, and we will catch you next week.